Hello and welcome to the Evolve Pipedrive podcast, where we talk all things Pipedrive, sales, apps, and Pipedrive marketplace. My name is Bruce Bignell. I only run Evolve. We're a technology consultancy based in the UK, working globally, helping businesses get more out of Pipedrive and their wider tech stack through implementation, consultancy, training, and aftercare. Today, I have the great pleasure to be joined by Tom Lavery, the CEO and co-founder at Jimminy. Jimminy is an AI-powered revenue and conversation intelligence software that allows you to record, analyze, and boost your sales with actionable insights. I'm really looking forward to this conversation with Tom today for a couple of reasons. One, because he's a true sales expert and leader, having risen from the head of sales to senior vice president at Reward Gateway, which has recently been acquired in a deal valued at 1.15 billion. And two, because Tom has a passion for all things tech, sales, fashion, and sports. So there's plenty of overlapping passions there with myself. And this gilet is not just a fashion statement; it is also for brand as well. So without further ado, Tom, welcome. Please can you introduce yourself and Jimminy to our audience?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, great to be here, Bruce. I'm not sure I can pull off a gilet, but there we go. Excited to be here. I think you've done a great introduction. Yeah, excited to chat all things sales today. Jiminny, we're very passionate about, helping sales reps and sales teams be the best version of themselves. We're a mission-driven company, but it's really led by the data in terms of how you can make decisions and best drive performance and improve revenue. But really excited to be in chat.
So as a sales person yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Being a mission-led company, what is that mission?
Oh well, it there's different elements for me. You have to have a why. You have to have a why as a person. I'm sure you've heard of that, like how Simon Sinek codified it. So why do you exist? Like it's not just how you do. So like you just give a great introduction of what we do. Yeah. So if you are like that evolves over time, but what we do is record, transcribe, and analyze voice, video, email to help sales teams. Yeah. How do we actually do that? We enable teams through a platform to give feedback, run reports, create actionable insights, show you why you win or lose deals. Yeah, improve conversion rates. That's not what the technology does. That's how you use the technology.
Yeah.
But why we exist is to help salespeople be better.
Mm.
I think in the early days you couldn't consistently give feedback. I think we're probably on the third generation of conversation intelligence now, a new wave of AI. We've got to the point now where Jiminny can give an individual rep feedback on a call without human intervention. What was good about the call? What was the outcome? How do I prepare for the next call? Write my follow-up email. So, I think we're very quickly getting to a point where I think the business and the AI will tell you it's an opportunity and the rep will approve it rather than the subjectivity of, letting the, AE decide whether it's a deal or not. I think it's getting that far that quick. Mm-hmm.
That's that's really cool, and I want to actually jump into that in a short while, actually. But so what does the team at Jimminy look like? So have you a team of sales guys? Have you got a huge development team? Obviously, leveraging this large language models and things like that. What's the team look like?
So we're about mid-70s now in terms of people. So we started bootstrapped and then raised some money, seed money, and then we took some A-round investment last year. But I guess we've always been a small and mighty team compared to some businesses. But we're very focused on really helping customers and solving that problem. So pretty much your atypical SaaS company, one which you try and unify it as one team. So as in everyone works together and there's a lot of overlap, but I guess you can split it into two where you've got like our growth team, which is like all of like marketing, customer success and sales, pretty much based out of the UK, along with finance and everything else. And then my co-founder lives in Bulgaria and we've got an awesome engineering team and product and support team over there. So you pretty much split it down the middle, 35 people in each country. But yeah, all the engineering product development happens in Sofia, and all sales, marketing and service side pretty much from London.
Very nice. And so with that UK with the split between the businesses, where are you covering in terms of markets covered?
Yeah, so I'd say depends if you go by number of customers or
Size.
revenue, but
Yeah.
pretty much I'd say 50-50 between North America and Western Europe.
Okay.
So yeah, like half our customers are in the US, like North America, Canada, whatever. There's a lot of international because you have a company with 30 sales reps in, and then loads spread out around the globe.
Yeah.
So I think on any given day, our software is used in like 50 countries around the world on any given day. So it can be quite diverse, but predominantly most of the headquarters are in kind of Western Europe, the UK, and North America.
I love it. And in terms of that ICP there, are you the SaaS companies that you're going for? Would they might be at Series A, Series B, and scaling, or at what stage would they be, investing in tech like this?
Yeah, I think early adopters have been like tech companies because they always tend to, say it's normal for them to want to try new things. But I think as the market's matured, like we have companies that are, doing finance, loans, travel
Mm.
companies, agencies, sports marketing companies. Like I think it's diversifying and becoming, probably it's more like I don't want to be too broad, but like, have you got a CRM and do you talk
Yeah.
to customers? And if you do, if you make video calls, you make phone calls and you talk to customers, do you want to make those phone calls and video calls better? Do you
Mm.
want to learn from that data? So of course you narrow it down in lots of different ways into different verticals where you're successful or not, or you have better success stories or more success. But really, this is something that eventually I can't see where most teams won't have this level of intelligence or software in their business.
Yeah, I think the teams that don't,
Mhm.
um, there'll be questions asked why, not just from the internal teams and reps, but by the buyer.
Mhm.
They'll be like,
Yeah.
"Why didn't you know that about me? Why are you boring me with these rubbish outreach
Mhm.
options?" But on that, so I actually think that the the ICP might be something around the complexity of the departments that are within the business, right? So it might not be the industry, but if
Yeah.
you've got more than 8 reps and a manager managing, would that be about right? Or um,
Oh no,
you might be
like
telling me I'm completely wrong here, but by the way,
no. I think people generally think, this is something for big teams or whatever, but not at all. Like we'll see a founder buy the software on Pipedrive or HubSpot
yeah,
and be investing in this from day dot
yeah,
through to massive teams with hundreds and hundreds of sales reps or agents. So, as a broad church, I think it doesn't really matter. If people understand the technology or they want to do it, there's the earlier you start, the better because it's embedded in the culture. And I think our most successful customers don't just, it helps drive revenue and drive performance, but really it's a business tool. Yeah,
mm,
because every customer facing team's on it, and you're analyzing this data at scale. It's there to improve the whole business and whole performance. So, it's something that's much bigger than just sales. You're learning the voice of the customer, how is product, marketing, other teams deriving data from this to get insights. So, it becomes something much bigger than a sales tool, even though a lot of the content is sales recordings, right?
yeah. But this is what I always find fascinating about sales, and I think this has really matured over like the last 5, 6, 8 years.
Hmm.
An SDR
Yeah.
or anyone that's at the real front line actually talking to prospects, they hear the pain points, they hear the troubles that the competitors aren't going through, and that's valuable feedback that goes
Hmm.
direct into product, direct into marketing, that can possibly steer the direction of a business or a marketing campaign. Um, I mean, where does is that how you kind of leveling up the conversation with sales data or sales intelligence or that kind of conversational intelligence?
Let me get started on the whole BDR,
Mm,
SDR thing because I think that's evolving and changing. Emails, I look, every vertical and industry is different. So maybe in big corporate things like webinar and email still work. Maybe in smaller business, I think email's dying. I think it's harder and harder to get noticed. So therefore, you have to change.
I saw
the,
something. I saw
mm,
something today on LinkedIn. from a friend of the channel, posting that email outreach, and he runs an outsource SDR business. Email out, if you're emailing from a Gmail domain, Outlook domains will blacklist you, cold email. And if you're emailing from a Microsoft domain to a Gmail, they're blacklisting you there as well. So it's just another Jenga piece of the cold email. It's not saying it's bad, but things to consider on that kind of sales nick when you're doing your outreach.
I think it's completely flipped on your head. Like, where are you placing your chips? Where are you putting your bets? It doesn't matter if you're this big or that big. How much resource have you got? So if you built a engagement tool from the ground up, you wouldn't build it email first today, would you? I think there's some great examples of companies doing out there. You want to go after companies where there's intent, right? So what you're doing through social and all sorts of other activity, whether you have an ABM model or whatever, but you really need to be going after the companies that engage with your brand. So if you're going to make your BDR and SDR life achievable and easy, I mean, I don't know, in 20 years, I've never seen probably pickup rates and email response rates as low as they are now. I think in my business career. So, making sure that who are engaging with your competitors and engaging with your brand before you start to put them into any sort of sequence cadence that doesn't have to be email led is probably the way to go for me. Maybe not other industries, but definitely in maybe in like tech and stuff like that. Those things that have worked for the last 10 don't seem to be working now. Last 10 years don't seem to be working now for sure. Not in the same way anyway.
Yeah, this is me. I was at I've got an enterprise SEO background from a sales standpoint, so a lot of my work and thinking goes search as intent, kind of is led there. And I was at a conference last week, Brighton SEO, and one of the keynote speakers there mentioned the Jeff Bezos quote that you might have heard of, where he says, he always gets asked, what's going to change in 10 years' time? He says, actually, well, what's not going to change in 10 years is actually the better question to answer, because those are the principles that we can still solve for those, in 10 years' time.
Yeah.
And I thought I wanted to capture that and ask this to you, because with so much change happening at the moment with technology, building playbooks and things like this, what are the principles of a seller's relationship with a buyer, right? So I think it's changed a lot, with the buyer's going to be a lot more well read, you could say. So they may be more informed than the typical SDR at a very early sales stage. But what are some principles that in that kind of seller buyer relationship that you don't think will change?
Well, look, I think stuff's evolved already, right? You have to tell a story. You have to be a partner. It's not all the powers with the salesperson in, look, I have this product that you don't know much about. I'm going to tell you all about it. I think you hit the nail on the head there. You can read what people say on LinkedIn. You can go on Glassdoor or SourceForge and look at reviews of what people think. Everyone is educated to an extent. I think it's when what won't change is fundamentally when you get to that point of engaging with someone, you still have to articulate how you're going to best get them the result, and how do you best do they believe you're the partner, service, vendor, solution that can solve their problem the best way possible, or their challenge or their issue. That won't change. How you do that might, but that's making sure that your team have those soft skills and have the ability to be able to do that. I think that won't change, but maybe things will go. I've already seen products where people are out there trying to use AI to just do the cold call, like generate it, like literally, and I think it'll work. Like, imagine you ring a restaurant and you, rather than the waiter running off and doing something else, it's transcribing live, which is
Yeah.
easy to do, and it's reading the transcript back from the other person and then automating a response. So something quite transactional, it will seep into first,
Yeah.
start to work. But yeah, I'd imagine eventually you could see now in a call center or whatever, you quite easily think you're talking to a human and you're not, right? You're talking to AI and it's fixing your problem with your insurance policy or
Yeah.
whatever.
So
Mm-hmm.
certainly at the customer service level, uh,
Yeah.
and I don't know if you've played around with it yet, but there's a pi.ai, so pi.ai, and they've got a conversational AI with, and it's very fluid in terms of how it communicates with you,
Mm.
but it has a voiceover. So, and you can choose the voice. So we're very much in the early realms of, was it the film Her, where
Mm-hmm.
you can imagine people falling in love with it or the like, but every rep or business owner will have a AI assistant in WhatsApp essentially, right? So they're going to be using their ChatGPT as a thread to ask them questions and bounce ideas back off there.
Well, yeah, I think if you think about it, not to be too like old school about all this, but if you think about it, when the internet blew up, well, there's different ways, isn't it? We've gone through, um, like first of all, having the internet, social media. Now we're going through AI. Like everyone suddenly had to have a website. Doesn't matter what company you were, taxi hub,
Mhm.
through to a massive tech company. Everyone needed to have a website because everything started going online.
Yeah,
So therefore, web agencies, everyone had to create a website, whatever. Social media, like everyone had to have a Facebook page, promote, spend advertising dollars on Facebook. I think what you're seeing through now is everyone is having to integrate a form of AI into their product. The expectation is there. I was talking to a customer the other day, and actually, it was the customer's head of AI, the bigger customer. That's what his job is. He has 30 ML engineers, and just in like, because we're a customer of ours, like he was looking over like the last 30 days of their EMEA sales calls, and like AI and machine learning had come up 450 times by the customer,
mm.
you know. And they have parts of it in the product and they're trying to build a new product around it. But that's in maybe an older industry that you'd deemed more like a bit more maybe like older school or been around for a longer period that's reinventing itself. But I
Yeah,
think everyone's asking the question, you know.
yeah. I mean, it's kind
Mhm.
of why Evolve exists, like our business exists, right? So it's easy to use sales tech for the end user, and it's that kind of long tail of businesses, like the scale
Mhm.
ups, business owners to individual reps. And I actually got an email over the weekend from a customer who's in the marine, not as in army, but as in the oceanic vessels, marine space, for memberships. And he was like, "How can I use AI in my business?"
Mhm.
So there isn't a defined area that is going to people. It's going to impact all departments, all industries.
Well, I think you got people thinking about it like I'll go in and I'll ask it something because that's their experience today of like a
Yes.
Claude or an Open AI. But actually, you're still asking the human like us to go do something.
Hmm.
Whereas I think it changes. Like I think
So
you.
I'm just going to jump
Mm,
into this analogy, and
mm,
I think it's the read write. So it's not just writing for you; it's understanding. It's the summarizing of text as opposed to just writing the text for you. It's reading 15,000 words and summarizing it for, like, there's that understanding.
well,
I
I'm
don't
just,
know.
I'm just talking about tech products, right? Like
Okay.
Pipedrive or using a system. Like fundamentally, the whole problem with CRM is you're asking someone to go in and bloody do something
Mm,
when everyone's got limited time, busy, multiple bits. So there's lots that we automate anyway, whether it's Salesforce, HubSpot, Pipedrive
yeah.
into the CRM. For a long time, we thought it needs to be like a self-driving car.
Yeah.
So like if future state for a customer is tell us what you want to know each month or each quarter, and we'll spit it back out. Like, forget logging in and asking it, that's still doing something. So like, hey Bruce, this is why you won this quarter, this is why you lost these deals, this is your top performing rep and why, this is your bottom performing rep and why. Boom, boom, boom. You don't have to go ask, it tells you. You set it up to tell you these things. At the same time, like I think, like we talked about earlier, I think biggest subjectivity in B2B is that everyone's managing their pipeline and reporting to their boards based on what AEs think or a certain criteria. And look, I'm a salesperson. Some are better at others at doing this, but really that's why our conversion rates that low. Are people's target, or do they just never have enough good pipeline? In terms of why they're missing. But if the business has certain parameters, why can't? If you're analyzing millions and millions of video calls and voice calls, and you're able to do that, you see that aha moments. You see why Bruce is good. So, we know this is an opportunity because Bruce did this and this and this on this first and second call. So we'll create the opportunity in Pipedrive, and then we'll just get you to accept it in Slack. Like that's going to happen. And then forecasting, again, manual effort. You should know from the patterns, this is what happens when you win, this is what happens when you lose, so I'm going to give this a probability of 80, and you take out the human input. So for me, I know everyone always tries and runs and solves a problem, but we still haven't solved previous problems. So I'd say most of your customers, two things: people are still manually putting stuff in Pipedrive. Got to fix that. People are still subjectively choosing when it's an opportunity, not being led by data and going black and white, this is an op and this is not, and here's why. And the AI the data's there, it should be able to tell you that. So the sort of things that thinking about is like, shouldn't need to do those things anymore. That's how it will evolve,
Yeah, I think it's such a good point. I mean, what does this mean for the Jiminny product, right? So as a roadmap, and you might not be able to share everything, but if you go into some of the specifics of where you're at currently, because obviously there's loads of things that have changed, and then what do you see in kind of the immediate roadmap for 6 months and that kind of ideal state as well?
Look, I think companies still buy it, like they can't see every conversation, they don't have the visibility, like having every conversation in the cloud, understanding why you win or lose deals. Like 80% of our customers never have this technology. It's still very new. But I just think how it evolves is it's so powerful because you're capturing. The reason I started the company is I believe the biggest asset any business has, even when I was at Raw Gateway, is the customer conversations that you have in sales, cold calls, meeting prospects, talking to customers, renewals. They are where it gets done. That is where the action's happening. So you need to use this data. So capturing and analyzing that data is the backbone of all of this. Mapping it to the metadata and everything else is key. But yeah, it's like we're only just scratching the surface. Until you think about, we just, we have sentiment analysis and we have an Ask Jiminny feature where it gives you feedback. But think about video emotion, tonality, other things that no one's analyzing yet scale. So there's a long way to go, but it's in a good way.
Nice. Yeah, and it's we don't know the problems it's going to be solving in the future. I again, two things I've heard recently. One, obviously, this is leaning quite a lot of. I don't know if you watch much of the Salesforce conference in the last month or so.
Are you talking about Dreamforce?
Dreamforce. You had Inbound and obviously Dreamforce, but their intelligence around Einstein and AI is kind of what you're talking about here. It's making sense of whatever's in the system.
Yeah, I think Einstein, from what I know, and I could be wrong, is like mainly they've taken a simpler use case to start, which is support, and a lot of it is based around like the Service Cloud. But yeah, you can see how it applies to sales. But for all companies come in all shapes and sizes, and layering on $400 worth of Salesforce costs, as you know, you get into Sales Cloud, then some sort of Velocity product, you've got Pardot, then you've got their version of Jiminny, which I think is called Conversations. Then you want to layer on Einstein. I mean, the price just gets insane. So there has to be a certain level of I think consolidation is key, but it's about picking, instead of having 6 or 7 tools, the next wave is picking probably the 2 or 3 things that are really critical, rather than having 6 or 7 trying to do Swiss Army knife.
Yeah.
And I think the buyer is very confused at the moment because there's lots of platform pays trying to sell them one strong version of something,
Yeah.
and probably some bang average versions of everything else.
Yeah.
So the only person that's really kind of losing out is the buyer. But I think it doesn't matter if it's enterprise or SMB. There's a certain element that, depending on what you need more, you want best of breed in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah. Yeah. The way we, again, when I talk about the easy to use sales tech as a small tech stack, right? If they can natively talk together, talk to one another, or even no code using like a make.com, or other options are available, you can have best in class for what they do, right? And as an MVP, we want to automate in, as a rule of thumb, everything that we can, and then kind of go from there. So talking about that as native integrations, how does Jiminny and Pipedrive actually connect to each other? What's the
Yeah, I think we've got like 7 CRM integrations, maybe about to add the 8th. So, like, the conversation's really valuable, but only as good as the metadata you're mapping together: outcome, disposition, name, contact. You want to know who you're speaking to. So it kind of plays a crucial part. So we have a 2-directional sync between like Pipedrive or any CRM. So we're automatically mapping the deal stages. Say you have 5, 6, 7 calls, even 2 calls in your sales cycle, we're automatically mapping that data. So it ends up, oh, what happened when we won? What happened when we lost? So it analyzes it all automatically. And over the years, we've added in features like auto logs. If people like jump off a Zoom or a Teams, it will automatically log the task or an event without them doing anything. So like every single Teams meeting or Zoom meeting gets embedded. We have install packages to certain CRMs. We automatically add contacts, because people always forget to multi-thread deals and things like that.
Yeah.
So like going back to my analogy of self-driving car, I think we're getting to the point where if an AE uses Jiminny, the only thing they're really doing is going in and maybe creating a quote. We have a deal view where they can move the stage easily, change the date, stuff like that. So they can jump from Zoom call to Teams call and pretty much do most things within the CRM. So it's very limited how much they need to touch it. It's a database, really. I think it's just how you input the data. So yeah, like I think the reality of, if you're one of your customers and they're using Pipedrive, is like, how could everything just automate in there? It be black and white, see every single bit of data, be able to call on every call or meeting.
Yeah.
And salespeople are generally a bit more creative. That's where they like to spend their time. They don't want to be filling out fields in the CRM. I think history tells you that doesn't happen.
Yeah, I used to have to, 10, 15 years ago, I used to have to put 30 minutes to 45 minutes at the end of every day to fill out Salesforce with what I'd done that day. And obviously,
Yeah, but no one does it.
Yeah, but you don't always do it, right? You're just like,
but then you do it badly and you can't remember. And
then you do it badly on the Friday before you're talking to your finance director. Yeah, everyone, it's a bad place to be. But we'll have links in the description. We'll get a platform. We'll have a demo that will be live by the time you're listening to this. So we'll have that in the description below.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, can you tell me a little bit about how you met your co-founder? Were you together in the UK? Did you meet at an event? Was it through the fundraisers?
Well, there's three of us. One is my wife.
Yeah.
So we worked together previously at Reward Gateway.
Nice.
And she's CCO, but looks after, kind of oversees at an exec level, kind of CS and marketing right now. And my technical co-founder, who's our CTO, is James. And we worked at Reward Gateway too for 8 years together. So he was one of the first engineers. I ran, first salesperson, ran sales. So yeah, look, we all worked together for a long time in that business. And then 6 years live with a product for Jimminy now. So yeah,
it's pretty. I mean, what did Rewards Gateway do well as a business? I know that they had obviously incredible people in it that have gone on and done this. But what is it about the culture that you could kind of take from that? Was it the management? Was it just the mission to drive?
Yeah, I think you
What was
talk
your
about
main?
that why, how, what earlier.
Yeah,
Like the product was cool at the time. It made a big difference to people's lives. Going back a long time now, like 2008, uh, when I started in the business. Um, but look, a company's culture is created by the mission and a company living its values. So if you do those two things really well, the culture isn't a free beer, hoodie, fucking swag on your desk when you join.
yeah,
The culture is how you feel. I've walked into enough offices all around the UK and the US when I was working at Royal Gateway. You can smell the culture when you walk into a company's office. Does it feel good? Does it feel warm and friendly? Look, at the end of the day, people work with people. Um, you know, there's always important conversations that you can do in a be kind way, but I think generally it's just how you feel when you work somewhere. In terms of being supported and uh, you know looking after. So I think look, the key was we had a desire to be successful. We were the underdog as well. Like there was a lot of big insurance companies that were supposedly bigger companies on paper, and we were like the challenger for a long time.
yeah,
So I think we played into that kind of narrative. Just uh, everyone put everything on the line. I think a lot of people, if you look at Will and James, who built the product, the original kind of COO, CFO, the original kind of directors or anyone in senior roles, like everyone gave it their all and was totally brought into it. So when you have that,
and you guys and you felt that as part of the business.
yeah, of course,
Mm.
I treated it like my own business. And I think, look, I saw an interesting chart the other day, like talent is this much and consistency and effort is like this much of it. You don't have all the answers,
Yeah,
especially when you start a company or grow a company. You never do. I think people still struggle with it, but hard work and determination outstrips everything,
yeah,
and consistency. If you can be consistent, people struggle these days. I get it; it's hard. Like they sit down at their desk, and it's different to it was years ago. Sorry, someone's trying to call me. Ignore
that's fine.
it. You know, you get there, and you've got like a LinkedIn, Slack's pop in, email. You know, there's just distractions left, right, and center. So being focused and going, right, what are the two things that are most important today? But make is one having the uh, ability to say that be that focus sometimes. Going, what's going to move? But are those two things the right thing?
Yeah,
And it doesn't matter what job you're doing. It doesn't matter if you're doing support role, sales role, director of business, founder, board member. Like, are you spending your time where it really matters?
mm.
I think the bigger the business is, the less that matters. The smaller the business is, the more that matters because you've got more people and probably easier to coast in bigger companies, right? Than it is in smaller companies. But yeah, I think it's nothing takes away from hard work really, and I think there was a lot of just hard work at Royal Gateway. People really cared, and everyone was brought into the mission, and that created the culture. Long way of answering your question.
No, no,
Yeah.
I love it. I did want to interrupt. And one last
Mm.
thing, just on that kind of early stages. Obviously, you met your wife at Reward Gateway. You met James. Why Jimminy? Where did that name come from?
Uh, I don't know. Uh, everyone's, I don't know, just had quite bland names, I guess. Like, I don't know, you can call it like Coaching Cloud or something. Like, I
Yeah,
don't know, in the early days of what the product did, it's very different now. But like, so, we're quite creative and just Jiminny is your like
your
Jiminy
little
Cricket
sidekick.
psychic
Yeah,
conscience. And like, we're talking about what the product even does today, what it's going to do in the future. Like we always thought it would just be your guide and support and automate for everything. So yeah, it's just a creative name around being your like sidekick and your conscience.
Great, I love it. And just before we look to wrap up, and this has been awesome, so thank you for this.
No worries.
I got some quick fire questions, but you can take as long as you need to answer them, right?
Okay.
So, what's in your tech stack and why?
What's in our tech stack and why? Probably when you grow quickly as a company too much to start, because you just add things on at speed.
Consolidation. Yeah.
Yeah. Jiminny is key. Like we use our own product a lot. You know, we record and we use it. Everyone uses it in the growth team on a daily basis, even other parts of the business. Look, it's pretty normal. Like we have Salesforce. No offense, like for Pipedrive, but
it is what it is.
No, like I think it was the first integration we built, and so we had access to it because we built the integration. And then when you start, you know, we're way too small for Salesforce, but you just grow into it anyway. We use HubSpot for marketing. We obviously use Jimminy. We use a cool tool called Ample Market now, which does data intent, data like enrichment, and then it does intent based. So it's really wrapping up like a sales loft or an outreach and a Cognism into one, which is really helpful for our model. Ample Market, yeah. And we have Intercom, which is really good for product tours and support and other things like that. But yeah, we tend to still try and keep it quite simple overall. Mm-hmm.
And your favorite use case that or customer success story you've heard people using Jimminy?
I think my favorite one last year was just like where companies have so much data, it's not always going, oh look, someone's doing this or doing that. Sometimes it's what you can't see. So we had a company that basically had like multiple geos and teams selling across like North America, LATAM. And what they could basically see using Jimminy reporting was that they had 12-month, 24 and 36-month contracts, but they could see across all calls and all meetings that no one was talking about multi-years. Yeah. So the difference is there's one thing seeing that's a game changer, but then it's right, how do you then action that and make it happen? So creating a framework of a call of how you like train it in to fix it, and then actually consistently making sure that feedback is happening. You know, 4 or 5 months later, they close like $1 million of multi-year contracts. But it's about spotting it. We always call it data-driven coaching. So it's about finding out and seeing what's going on, but it's only as good as what you then action with that. Yeah, because you can have all the dashboards and reporting in any tool you want. That's only what you end up doing with it that makes a difference.
Yeah. There's a really nice definition of intelligence by Alex Hormozy. I don't know if you've heard of this or heard of him, but he says taking new information on and then how quickly you act upon it. So if you keep having the same information but you don't act upon it, that's a gap of intelligence there. And that, I think, having all this intent data or reports and insights, dashboards, if you're not using that in your coaching sessions or in your as a manager talking to your individual reps, that you're missing a trick there. So I think that's quite an interesting piece there, and thank you for sharing that. Top tips for those getting started, and some top tips for those getting started on Jimminy, and some seasoned and those who have been using Jimminy for ages. What would you recommend that they can really go really deep into it and maybe use that data a bit clearer?
Oh God, it so depends on the company stage, what technology they have in their business. Look at the operational. I always think about it as being like operational, tactical, and strategic, like how you use a product or which different teams use it. But it's making sure you get value at all levels. Look, with anything, I think inherently people have adoption issues or they've been burnt by something in the past. So how do you really focus? If you've never had this technology before, we really help people to get like everyone using it and embed it in the culture. Just the value of like, how do you reps that self-coach have a 15% higher close rate than ones that don't. We see that in the data in our own platform. So if you just take the time to prepare for your calls better, and listen to what you did in the previous call, you'll become a better salesperson by just by doing those very simple things. It's like if you're a music teacher, would you not like listen back to the person playing? Or like if Harry Kane scores 2 goals but misses 3 great chances, he watches back the 3 he missed, right? So
Yeah.
just because you had a great call, whatever. So I think it's just getting companies into that mindset mentality. So very, very simple to start. You can get a lot of value from that. And as companies get, it depends. Like they could be a small company with a more mature sales process. Doesn't matter on deal size, whatever. But companies get to the point where out of the box they can go, right, I'm going to track medpick or churn reasons, and Jiminny automatically tracks all of that. Then we have something called like automated call scoring. So they will automatically score calls where people, every single conversation will be like, was this picked up? Was this not? Was soft skills used? Was emotional intelligence used? Did we follow medpick? Could be anything, right?
Yeah.
So suddenly you're tracking everything. Then you're seeing, oh, these are all the ones where it wasn't done. Well, these are all the 5s where churn's going, well, they're talking about not renewing, whatever, right? And then you create alerts, so you don't even need to log in. So we have something called nudges. So if your manager needs to know when a rep is losing deals and not following medpick, Jiminny will automatically tell you in Slack. So you get to that stage where you are like embedding a sales methodology. The old way is to be like, oh, basically, we ask the rep to fill in the fields in Salesforce, never happens.
Yeah.
Then they go on a load of calls, don't know if they did it or not. Whereas what we've done is created a world where you don't need to fill it in because Jiminny automatically tracks it. And then you can see if it's happening or not. And then you can do something about it and have the impact. So like all of that's just out of the box. That doesn't matter if you're 5 sales reps or 500, you can make that work,
I think that's great. It's certainly as a progression, right? So if you're just
Mm-hmm.
getting started, tell your reps to self-coach because before a call, before your second call, rewatch the last call. That's a really nice piece, and then just use some of the features in the platform to really supercharge it. So yeah, that's really cool. You may have an answer for this, you may not. So do you have any Pipedrive feature requests that you'd like to see? And that might be on the front end, it might be on the back end.
I know it's moved on a lot, and it's become more of an overall platform and sales and marketing right now. Any feature requests? Not that I can think of. No, not off the top of my head. I think some of the things I was talking to the Pipedrive team. Some of the things in the API.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say on the back end. Was there anything
Yeah. Like I think look, anything they can always do. The more open and the more available in the Pipedrive API, the better we can make that experience with Pipedrive customers. The more we can do custom fields, we can embed them, support them, automate them, different things like that. So
yeah, the developer resources have had a bit of a refresh in the last 2 to 3 months. So it's, and they want to be integrating a lot cleaner with people like yourself. So we'll pass that on. Well, also that's been brilliant. Thanks so much. Was there anything else you wanted to mention before we close now?
No, absolutely. If anyone is interested or wants to get in touch with the team, they can go to jiminny.com, which is JIMINNY.com, and you can just chat the team. You can book in a demo or speak to anyone. If anyone wants to reach out to me, I'm really easy to get hold of. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm always happy to help.
Perfect, easy peasy. So we'll have links in the description below for all of that. I just want to say that's it for this week. Thank you for listening to Evolve Pipedrive podcast, where we talk all things Pipedrive, sales, apps, and the Pipedrive marketplace. At Evolve, we're a technology consultancy based in the UK, working globally, helping people get more out of Pipedrive and their wider tech stack through implementation, consultancy, training, and aftercare. If you found this insightful, please let us know what you think in the comments. Hit like, subscribe, or share with someone that just wants to hear this story. So Tom, thank you very much, and see you next time.
Thanks, Bruce. Bye-bye.
Cheers now.